this year by Parker Valby of Florida. Sydney Thorvaldsen of Arkansas is in the field.
She's the defending champion, won this event last year at the SEC Championships. Also indoor champion at 5,000 meters. And Hilda Olomomoy from Alabama is certainly one to watch. She has had such incredible consistency, has not lost a race all season long. Second in the 5,000 in the NCAA Indoor Championships behind Parker Valby, who we noted with the collegiate record, and shaping up to hopefully see Hilda and Parker in the 5,000 at the end of this championship. Also, Ella Chestnut from LSU, part of this really emerging distance contingent of the Tigers program. And then this is Brenda Tui, also representing Alabama. Runner-up at the SEC Indoor Championships. So Alabama seeing what they just did in the men's 10,000, having an opportunity to do that on the women's side.
There were 20 entries in the men's 10,000, 25 entries here in the women's. And let's see if we get the same type of race. You can't exactly call the men's race a sit and kick, even though it was for about 18 laps, but then changed dramatically into a one person tries to pull the kick out of the other person race. But this is certainly going out and stringing out the pack much more quickly than in the men's race.
The reigning champ, Sydney Thorvaldsen, right there up front to keep things honest early. In tow, that is Ryan Helmers of Ole Miss, an All-American in cross country as well. Thorvaldsen has her teammate up there as well. That's Peyton Noe, the freshman from Arkansas. Noe, one of the newcomers to the Razorback program, but has certainly made an impact early on. Fifth at the SEC Cross Country Championships. Freshman out of Iowa, where she was the state's Gatorade Cross Country Player of the Year last year. And one who this Arkansas program is really excited about in terms of the emerging talent and that young talent that they have with their program that's following the leadership of the junior, Sydney Thorvaldsen. She's had such an incredible 2024. She was the indoor 5K champion, as we noted. She scored 15 points altogether at the indoor championships, also adding a fourth place finish in the 3K. And in terms of the 10,000, which is an absolutely stacked event in this conference, because you have the collegiate leader, Parker Valby, you have Hilda Olomomoy, who has the second fastest time in the nation. Well, Sydney Thorvaldsen currently fifth on the NCAA qualifying list. And this is really how she likes to run. Not so much, you know, a sit and kick, relatively speaking, as we were talking about. She is more of that kind of metronome who can know to set that early pace, know what she's going to have to do, and then those who go with her, she can gauge accordingly to push things along. But really steady there up in the front of the pack as they go through those first few laps and start to settle in.
Well, only two Arkansas Razorbacks entered in this 10,000 meters, so they're expecting, of course, that they will get a fair amount of points out of those two runners.
And that's a beautiful shot where you're starting to see it is just cooling off, can we even say that, ever so slightly. The sun has set now, so you know, you're getting a little more of that evening type of feel. Still very, very humid, of course, though, with this field. Good to see, you know, Arkansas up there going 1 and 2.
But while it's cooling down a little bit, guys, it's still 80 degrees out there on the track. That's what's amazing about southern Florida here. You see that we got here, it was 92, 93. Now it's still over 80, and these athletes in this 10,000 meters, they are just suffering out there in this heat.
as you're looking at the field right now, Hilda Olomomoy has done a really good job of kind of sticking herself right there behind Peyton Noe, and then you're also seeing her teammate Brenda Tui move up there as well. Tui just arrived in Tuscaloosa. There she is right out there in lane 2 with the 5 there on her chest. Arrived to Tuscaloosa just in January from Eldoret, Kenya. And Coach Nick Steneff said she's really coming into her own, and he feels really good about her development. It's been great for her to have Hilda's maturity and experience to draw from. His message to her all year long has been, just keep showing up. You're gonna get there. You're doing all of those right things, and you've got the right person to be there alongside you. And right now, she's right alongside Ella Chestnut of Louisiana. She's a Louisiana native, so when you're talking about people who can endure the heat, Dan, that you're talking about, she can. She grew up in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. So, 80-something degrees is kind of what she's been accustomed to. And in talking to LSU distance coach Houston Franks, he said her toughness and dedication are really what stood out in the recruiting process when they brought her to the program. She's now a sophomore. He said she was a national qualifier, NCAA qualifier in cross country, and all of what she's accomplished so far has just been a big dose of hard work and doing a lot of the little things right. And right now she's doing the little things well by being right up there in the top 3 alongside that duo from Alabama.
Well, the pace has definitely slowed over the last couple of laps, 86.5 the last 2 laps, and you can see that the pack is bunching up and the athletes are having to squirt out into lane 2 in order to make sure they have enough room to run. That was an 85-second lap, so a slight improvement. But in the beginning, the pack was nicely strung out very early on in that first lap or so, and now they've bunched up quite a bit.
You're starting to see Thorvaldsen and Noe get maybe a little bit anxious and starting to want to push things. Maybe they'll try to navigate around Chestnut of LSU to start to quicken things ever so slightly. As you see down the backstretch, a lot of the athletes grabbing the water to get whatever reprieve they can from the heat. Noe now sliding comfortably there up front. I talked with distance coach Lance Harder, of course, retired but still involved in the program, still around the program, but was talking to him, about the athletes because he continues to be around the program, helping Megan Elliott on the workout days. He said, I'll hold a stopwatch for her, do whatever she needs. But he said that Peyton Noe is going to be a superstar in the SEC. We obviously know that Sydney Thorvaldsen is and has established herself as a champion, and certainly Peyton Noe is going to be one to watch for the next few seasons that she is in Fayetteville. Seeing a bit of a change there up front with Michaela Reed sliding into the lead as they go through right around 7 minutes there, and we will check on that most recent 400-meter split at 83.5.
So Michaela Reed, the senior from Missouri, now takes over the leading duties from Ella Chestnut. Sydney Thorvaldsen continues to stay right up there, out of trouble. The defending champion making sure she has plenty of room to run.
And talking of, we've spoken about it during the men's race, but the team implications and those coaches across the conference are really giving a lot of credit to Coach Dennis Shaver and Coach Houston Franks and LSU for the investment they have made in their distance program. You see it headlined by Michaela Rose, but they have a lot of really strong athletes, and they're proving to have that scoring depth that's necessary at that meet. At this meet, rather. Not just the 10 points for first that you need here at the SEC. It's those depth points, and that's certainly what they're looking to have outside of the athletes they have in the 800, but also in the 1500, in the 10,000 meters, with Ella Chestnut making a really strong run up front.
Ella Chestnut now clearly picking the pace up a bit. You can see the turnover has improved a little bit. But still a lot of runners in a small space.
Now you're
this far into the race, 8.5 minutes into the race.
Currently at 35-minute pace, right at 35 flat. And now who is starting to creep up into that lead pack but Hilda Olomomoy. Wanting to navigate through a bit of that traffic and has done a really good job now of positioning herself on the outside of lane 1. Has not lost a race all season. Her best race coming at the Brian Clay Invitational when she ran 15:06 over 5K, second in NCAA history. Also has that second fastest 10,000 meter time, as we noted, behind only Parker Valby. That is a head-to-head battle we hope to see at the 5,000 on Saturday. Her teammate Brenda Toohey also buried in there just alongside Noe of Arkansas. So this duo from Alabama will like to use each other as much as possible as things start to spread out. 82.5, so back-to-back 82.5s for the most recent 800 meters. Getting ever so quick, just ever so slightly quickening the pace.
And you can see immediately that the pack starts to string out. As they try to get a little bit of relief from some water on the back stretch.
Look how even though Sydney Thorvaldsen is. You know, she's so efficient. Like mechanically with the way that she runs, she looks so good. And she really has been navigating this race so incredibly well. Just watching her mechanics, everything, she's just really, really strong over 10,000 meters. Tough to find many athletes who are able to run with that level of poise as she is.
Still very, very tightly packed in that sort of top 15 of the 25 that were entered. But if I'm Sydney Thorvaldsen, there's no reason for me to get up there and push anything.
Well, if you feel that, you may not have quite the leg speed and the turnover that the Alabama duo does, that would, as this gets a little thicker into it, likely into the second half, more of the 5K mark, I think, is where you might see that happen. Also been a great run from Ryan Helmers of Ole Miss. She has been right there up front there alongside the leaders this entire time. She was an All-American in cross country this fall and a 4-time SEC scorer on the track.
All right, Pack.
So Chestnut, Thorvaldsen, Olomomoy, Toohey. And of course Peyton Noe right there around 6th or 7th for Arkansas currently. All right, with 16 laps remaining, let's step aside for a minute, wrap up the last field event of the day, the women's javelin, and Dan.
Well, earlier in the evening here, the women got the javelin concluded. This is Caitlin Fairchild, the junior from Texas A&M. She does have a sister on the team, Mackenzie, who's a freshman. But this is her first attempt in her first round. She go 185.9. She's taking early lead in this women's javelin. She was third last year at the SEC Championships. Here's Trinity Spooner. This is an LSU freshman on her second attempt. She won the high school division at the Texas Relays last year, and she was the Louisiana State champ last year. And here she is competing for a title at the SEC Championships. 174 feet 1 for her. Leanna Davis, a junior from Texas A&M. She'd get things going, save the best for last, actually, on a 6th attempt. She would go big from Australia. She was second at the NCAA Championships outdoors last year, but she would defend her title here, throwing 189 feet 11 inches, and those Texas A&M Aggies would go 1 and 2, and the freshman would finish in third from LSU.
All right, coming along, 15 laps remaining. And right on 82.5 for the last 4 tours of this track. Now an 83 flat laps, so Ella Chestnut doing a nice job of keeping it even, and Sydney Thorvaldsen, the defending champion, right there behind her. Helen Alamomoy of Alabama is also there.
Through 4K at 13:54.5, so that last K, 3:26 pace, very comfortable for this field, right around 34:46.
That's Ryan Helmers, the senior of Ole Miss, in there, as well as Peyton Noe and Brenda Toohey.
And worth noting the time that Sydney Thorvaldsen ran to win last year. It was a very tactical race yet again. 35:07.5, what we saw last year when they ran this meet in Baton Rouge. Her PR far superior to that. She's run 32:36 just earlier this season at Stanford. As we're taking a look here at the field, and you do see, of course, Alabama with Brenda Toohey and Hilda Olomomoy doing a good job of kind of sticking together and using one another through this point of the race. That pace, as you said, had been really consistent. They've settled in to right around 82.5 to 83 second pace. And in watching Hilda Olomomoy, who is currently in third, her coach Nick Stenoff said she is one of the strongest runners I have ever coached. He said she can really grind and log heavy mileage. He describes her as an aerobic monster, and that's what you need to be in the 10,000, right?
Well, we really haven't dropped that many runners at this point, as we're a lap away from being halfway through the race.
Ella Chestnut done a really good job there up front, and Sydney Thorvaldsen in a really threatening spot, kind of in the catbird seat, if you will, just able to stick herself onto the shoulder and be drug along. Meanwhile, Olomomoy very comfortable then there next to them, in compliment to Helmers of Ole Miss. In fact, 2 Ole Miss athletes there in that lead pack, with the other being Skylar Boogard, who has been a runner-up in this event at the SEC Championships just 2 years ago. Boogard, a 3-time SEC scorer. That most recent lap, that's consecutive 83.5s. Now, Dwight.
About the half the field still in contention as we come up to the halfway point at the end of this straightaway.
And the resume for Olomomoy, not only has she run 32.05 before, that was our PR from last season, she ran 32.22 this year at Stanford. She's showcased her speed at 5,000 and at 1,500. She recently clocked a 4:15 1,500, and that speed has come from her strength. Coach Nick Stenoff said, haven't done a whole lot of speed work. She's just able to do that off of the strength and her being that aerobic monster. And then her confidence has really come along, which is going to make her dangerous, not just here at these championships, but also at the NCAA championships.
Remember that many of these athletes will be running another very competitive 10,000 meters in 2 weeks when they go to their regionals. And then the top 24 will go from regionals, 12 each. 24 will go to the NCAA championships 2 weeks after that to contest the national championship.
Most recent 400 at 84 seconds. Hey, and you know what? Not just those upcoming 10,000s, but a lot of them will still have work to do and run the 5,000
Sure.
coming up on Saturday as well. Hey, I noted Hilda Olomomoi's leg speed, but Lance Harder told me also that Sydney Thorvaldsen had a huge 1500 breakthrough recently at their home meet. They did a twilight meet there in Fayetteville, dropped her PR over 1500 from 422 to 415. He said that really raised eyebrows from her competitors, that she's developed that leg speed and is now a threat in different fashions. I mentioned how comfortable she looks being able to hold that pace and just be that kind of metronome up front, be that pace setter and sustain a pace evenly. But she has also started to flex that versatility in some of the kick that she can have over the rest of the field, as it looks like it's shaping up very similarly to what we saw on the men's side, probably going to unfold over the last, say, 1,000 to 1,500 meters.
$11 laps to go. And they're still cranking out 83.5 to 84 second laps. Waiting for something to change.
Great stat from Tom Lewis letting us know, through 5K they're at 17:24 currently, and when you think about Parker Valby's collegiate record, she was at right around 15:30 at the halfway point. You're seeing Hilda Olomomoy gesture ever so slightly to her right, getting a little too close the rest of the field there, so noting to let her have some space to get her leg kicked back and make sure that she's not getting tangled up, anyone running up on her. So
and that's really the danger when the pace lags like it can do, like it appears to be doing. It's sort of creeping slower and slower. Peyton Noe staying out of trouble by being out in the inside part of lane 2. Mentioned that Parker Valby is the collegiate record holder at 10,000 meters. She's not running this race, but she will be running the 5K on Saturday for the Gators. She's the collegiate record holder in that event as well.
And just recently this week was able to get her photo up on the Gator Greats wall that is along the home stretch here that celebrates their national champions with the plaque. But to get a photo, you have to be a 4-time national champion. And not only did they note her 4 national titles, newly minted as the 10K collegiate record holder, so they have that noted up there as well here at the facility. It's really going to be interesting to see how the Alabama duo and the Arkansas duo fend off one another and how team tactics are going to come into play with how this shakes out. Also, not too far behind them as we get a little bit wider as they're coming now. There you go. Again, okay, there's Olomomoy wanting to jump out. You saw her push that hand back to make sure she had space. She's getting anxious. She's getting up there and starting to spread things out ever so slightly. And there's Brenda Toohey right there to go with her. She saw the signal from her teammate to make a burst to get right up there. What a great response, as you see the Razorbacks now comfortable to settle into 3rd and 4th, along with the duo from the University of Tennessee, as you're seeing a big surge there as they head toward the backstretch.
Olomomoy making that move a couple of laps earlier than Patrick Kiprop did in the men's race. But this was the change we were looking for, and the response is what's important.
And I do believe for Tennessee, that's Emily Covert. She previously competed at Colorado, recently transferred, I should say, as of this semester. And it is Emily Covert. Just transferred to the University of Tennessee. While she competed for Colorado, she was 4th at the NCAA championships at 10,000 meters. And in talking to Sean Carlson at UT, He said they've really spent time getting her back to form. They're really, really close to getting her where she wants to be. In this meet, they wanted her to gain some momentum going into the regional meet and on to nationals with a chance to be All-American. He said, we got to get a little swagger back. She still has eligibility next year, fit and getting there, but they're really building a stable of those distance runners, and that's headlined right here by Emily Covert.
So Olomomoy with about a 20-meter gap back to Brenda Toohey, her teammate.
And she built that gap thanks to a 74-second 400 meters. As you're seeing Peyton Noe and Sydney Thorvaldsen move through the field, Olomomoy going to take some of the water there on the backstretch, douse herself to try to gear up for this last kick. Through 7,000 meters, they were at 24:03, and look at the gap she has put on the rest of the field. Brenda Toohey in tow, but she is in a position to which Emily Covert can just reel her right in.
So it's Olomomoy and about 20 meters back, 25 meters back, Toohey, her teammate, Covert of Tennessee, and then the Arkansas duo of the defending champion Thorvaldsen, who has now been passed by the freshman Peyton Noe. Those are your top five with 7 laps remaining.
75.5 for that last 400 meters, and a great note here. With as incredible of a career as Hilda Olomomoy has had so far at Alabama, she's actually looking for her first individual SEC title in any event. She has been second or third in 5 SEC events, including cross country. Well, we're always seeing her, often go head to head with Parker Valby, and that is, of course, a battle we look forward to seeing, hopefully, in the 5,000 meters on Saturday, should both these athletes, of course, race that event. But this is a special event so far. She is putting down a special performance, and Brenda Toohey right there with her.
Defending champion Sydney Thorvaldsen back in 5th place and struggling. There's a group of 3 in the middle, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Toohey, Covert, and Noe, the freshman from Arkansas.
Alabama really developing into a force to be reckoned with on a national level in these women's distance events. You're showing it right here as they are currently in 1st and 2nd. Then you have Covert of Tennessee, who is in great shape. And Peyton Noe, the freshman, what an incredible job that she has done right now to be in that top 4. And you know that she has an opportunity. She has plenty of strength in her legs to put in a final surge. 76.5 that last 400, so slowed about a second per lap over these last 4 laps, thanks to that big surge that she threw in and was able to gap the rest of the field as she takes an opportunity to grab some of that water and just douse herself on the backstretch. She's not going to need any of that leg speed that she has, because she has developed an 8-second advantage over the rest of the field to this point.
Right now, the battle appears to be for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, unless Olomomoy made a big mistake, and those 3 quick laps end up coming back and haunting her. There is Brenda Toohey of Alabama, then Covert of Tennessee, and the freshman Noe of Arkansas.
And you've got to feel great if you are UT right now, seeing where Emily Covert is, knowing that she has raced in high caliber championships. She's been an All-American before, so she knows how to close and put down big kicks in championship races. But everyone going into this said no matter who you are, you gotta respect this 10,000 meter field. This is a really strong 10K field, and a lot of these are gonna be back for what should be a thrilling 5K on Saturday. But hey, right now it's gonna be a thrilling finish to the 10,000. Peyton Noe has not seemed to have any fatigue settle in whatsoever, despite being up front for the majority of this race alongside Sydney Thorvaldsen before Hilda Olomomoy took over.
She's currently in fourth, but she's absolutely in position to make a move on the two in front of her. Helen Olomomoy easily 50 meters ahead in first place with 4 laps remaining.
77.5, that last 400 for Hilda Olomomoy now built an 11-second lead, and that's a beautiful shot right now, exactly of how commanding of a lead she has built so far, and this great battle that is shaping up between second, third, and fourth, with significant team implications on the line, especially if you are Alabama or you are Arkansas. Now a 13-second lead. We have been updated to this point. They have traded off in this chase pack so many times. Tui's been right up there. Then you have seen Noe. Emily Covert made a move and navigated through some traffic just about 300 meters ago. So they have kind of all been rotating around. And this has been such an impressive run by Peyton Noe.
Noe now in second place for Arkansas. Hilda Olomomoy all by herself, now with 3 laps remaining.
And Dwight, she's going to aim to do as little as necessary to hold on to this lead and to get the victory, knowing she wants to leave something in the tank going into Saturday with the 5,000. Of course, she has a big weekend this weekend, and as you mentioned, that slate of the NCAA Regional is very heavy, and then the NCAA Championships. And here you see, here's Noe gearing up. Look at this surge she has put down, and there is very little response from Tui. Emily Covert responds, and she is gonna go with her.
In the team scheme of things, Brenda Tui being dropped back to fourth and seemingly no response, that is not going to help their cause.
This pace at right around 34 minutes, incredibly comfortable for everyone, really, who's right there up in front. But worth noting that Peyton Noe has run 33:11, certainly not in these conditions. That was at the Brian Clay Invitational in April, so it wasn't quite, the heat and humidity we're dealing with. Noe with an 82nd last lap as well, so she's really right on pace of what we have seen Olomomoy run over the last 400 meters coming into this point right there.
2 laps to go for Hilda Olomomoy of Alabama, who took over about 6 laps ago, got tired of the mid-80s pace, threw in a 74-second stinger, and then sort of each lap ran 1.5 seconds slower, then 2-3 seconds slower, and now has built such a huge lead that she's pretty much not catchable. Peyton Noe, the freshman from Arkansas, in second, as Emily Covert sort of surges back and forth in third.
After so many podium finishes, Hilda Olomomoy is finally due to get an SEC individual championship, but Peyton Noe is making a huge run in second place right now as she has separated herself from Emily Covert and Brenda Tui.
Peyton Noe has probably clawed 5 meters back from Helen Olomomoy on that last lap. There's the bell. 1 lap remaining. Hilda Olomomoy, the junior from Alabama, broke this race open about 7 laps ago and has never looked back. Peyton Noe, the freshman from Arkansas, trying to score some points for her Razorback team. Defending champion Sydney Thorvaldsen just wasn't able to answer the call once the pace picked up. Less than 200 meters to go now for Helen Olamomoy in search of her first individual SEC championship title. Alabama winning 3 of the last 4 10,000-meter titles. Only Sydney Thorvaldsen of Arkansas has broken up that string over the last 4 years since we came back from COVID. Hilda Olamomoy breaking 34 minutes in this 10K.
But watch the finish of Peyton Noe. Look how much she has